Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to tell you how you should set up your arty crew after update 1.26. Let's go. Before we start with this video, let me remind you that you have the chance of winning a free premium tank simply by watching my videos. You can find all the necessary information in the info box below the video or in the first video that you need to watch, my recently released autocannon tutorial. In order to participate, you need to watch my videos and create the correct phrase out of all letters that you will find in those videos. Write your solution to this email address and do not forget to add your in-game name and the server you are playing on. Have fun and good luck! With update 1.26, Wargaming has added some interesting new perks to the game. Others got rebalanced, and while most of the completely new ones remain uninteresting for regular tanks like medium or heavy tanks, they are quite interesting for artilleries. In this video I want to show you my recommendation to set up your arty crew making use of those perks. Before we jump into some gameplay and talk about the most useful perks, let me give you some basic information. So there are no skills anymore, just perks. Every perk works right from the get-go. So for example, in the past, Brothers in Arms needed to be at 100% on every crew member in order to work. This is now all gone. As soon as you train a perk, it starts working for your tank. Furthermore, the number of perks are limited to 6 per crew member. This is good because the gap between a very experienced and a new crew is limited. And the last thing is, if a crew member has a secondary function, for example, if the commander is also the radio operator, then your commander has the chance of leveling up 3 additional radio operator skills. This also helps to balance out crews, in this case between tanks with only few crew members and tanks with lots of crew members. So some really nice changes with update 1.26. Alright, enough talking, let's jump into the game and talk about the most useful crew perks for arties. If there's one fact in World of Tanks, then that artillery is the most fun tank class that you can play in World of Tanks. Now, seriously, artillery is not really a competitive tank class anymore in World of Tanks due to the fact that it has been nerfed quite significantly in the last 1 or 2 years or so. However, with update 1.26, Wargaming updated the perk system, and with the new perks added into the game, there are quite some interesting ones that are mainly useless for regular tanks. However, they are quite interesting for artillery. And so in this video I want to showcase all the perks for you and tell you how you can set up your arty with those new perks, and tell you which ones are useful and which ones are not. So let's start right away with the commander. And as you all know, there are some universal perks that you can select for all crew members, and then there are some special ones depending on the role your tank crew is playing. So let's start with the commander. So the first one, as for every crew member of artillery, is Brothers in Arms, that I would always select as the first perk for once again for any crew member in your tank. Brothers in Arms, when fully trained for all crew members, increases the crew efficiency bonus of the entire crew by 5%, so this is the most important one. Now the second one I would select for the commander is sound detection. This issues an alert about enemy SPG fire within a 0.1 second delay and identifies the direction of the shot. Plus it decreases the negative effect of stunning by 10%, and it can be very useful for counter artillery fire of your adversary artillery pieces. As number 3 for the commander, I would select concealment. This, when fully trained for all crew members, increases the vehicle concealment by 80%. As number 4 for the commander, I would select mentor. This increases the amount of XP earned by 20% for all crew members, and it enables the commander to replace knocked out members with 65% effectiveness. And as last one, you can select Recon. Recon increases the view range by 2% and reduces the penalty of a damaged observation device by 20%. Now, as artilleries usually have a very lackluster view range, this is not really important, or not as important as the other perks. However, I would choose it as number 5, and then basically the rest is more or less useless: coordination, practicality, and also repairs, in my opinion. If I were you, as the 6th one, I would choose repairs. So let's now talk about the gunner. And once again, also for the gunner, I would select Brothers in Arms as the first perk, and then as the second one, I would go for concentration. Concentration decreases the gun dispersion of a stationary vehicle by 3.5%. The effect starts 3 seconds after the vehicle stops. And I mean, with your artillery, you will never shoot on the move, so concentration is a must-have on your gunner. As number 3, I would go for quick aiming. This increases the aiming speed and turret rotation speed by 2.5%. And increasing the aiming speed is especially useful for artilleries in World of Tanks. As number 4, I would select Snapshot, because Snapshot decreases the gun dispersion during turret rotation by 7.5%. And this is useful for artilleries which have a rotatable turret, and maybe also for all other artilleries, because I think Snapshot also works if you rotate the tank, if you have a fixed gun on your tank. So for tank destroyers as well as for artilleries. But feel free to write a comment in the comment section down below if you disagree and if you think that the mechanic is differently. As the 5th perk, I would once again select Concealment, and then as number 6, I would select Deadeye. Deadeye increases the chance of critically damaging enemy vehicle modules and injuring enemy crew members with all types of shells by 3%. A little amount, but as the last perk, yeah, I would say quite usable, or quite, yeah, usable. So, as far as the loader goes, I would go for Brothers in Arms as the first one, and then I would definitely select Intuition, because Intuition decreases the time of changing shell types in a loaded gun by 60%, and this is useful if you want to switch between the different shell types of your artillery. As number 3, I would go for Perfect Charge. This increases the shell velocity by 10%, and this is especially useful for arties due to the fact that aiming with your artillery, or basically predicting the position where you will hit your target, is or mainly depends on the shell velocity, so on the range, and increasing the shell velocity is therefore super important for an artillery. As number 4, I would select Concealment, and as number 5, I would select Ammo Tuning. This increases the minimum potential damage and minimum potential penetration by 2%. Yes, once again, a very short amount, however, nonetheless quite useful in your artillery. And then as the 6th perk, I would select Adrenaline Rush for your loader, because this decreases gun loading time by 5% if your vehicle has under 25% of its hit points left. Usually, if you get hit in your RT, you will be taken out. However, you can select 6 perks, and so I would simply do it. And sometimes you might find yourself in a situation in which you lose HP. You have below 25% HP, but you can escape out of a situation, and then this will be useful for you. As far as the driver goes, I would once again go for Brothers in Arms as the first one, and then as the second one, I would select Reliable Placement. This increases the HE shell damage absorption by 10% and increases damage received from falling by 30%. And this will be helpful against counter artillery fire, as the previously perk that we talked about. As number 3, I would go for off-road driving, because this reduces the speed loss on moderately soft terrain by 5% and makes speed loss on soft terrain equal to 100% of the resulting value. And this is useful simply because in your artillery you have to relocate, as you saw in this video, or as you see in this video. And many players forget that you should relocate, but if you want to relocate, your RT typically is relatively slow, and so this really helps out. Now, as the 4th perk, I would go for concealment, and as the 5th one, I would select clutch braking. This increases the half reverse speed by 5%. The rest is, in my opinion, less important, and so as the 6 ones, I would maybe go for repairs, but they are really not that much of a help. And then, last but not least, as far as the radio operator goes, I would go for Brothers in Arms first, and then I would select Communications Expert, because this increases the crew efficiency bonus by 2.5% if the amount of damage you assist with exceeds your vehicle's initial hit points. And this can be super helpful in a game in which you are quite successful. So as number 3, I would select concealment, and as number 4, I would select jamming, because this decreases the time of your vehicle, or the time your vehicle remains spotted by the enemy by 1 second. Number 5, I would select side by side. This increases the crew efficiency bonus by 2.5% at distances of 50 meters or less from an allied vehicle of the same type, and this can be useful if you find yourself next to your teammate RT. However, you should of course think about counter artillery fire. Nonetheless, this can work out for you in some situations on some particular maps. And last but not least, I would select as the 6th perk situational awareness to increase the view range by 3%. Once again, artilleries usually have a lackluster view range, however this nonetheless can be useful for your artillery. So this is how I would select the perks for my artilleries in this order that I just mentioned, and I think with this you are set up for success in your RT. Feel free to write a comment if you disagree with one or the other perk, and yeah, just tell me your experience with the new 1.26 crew perk system. In my opinion, this is how you should set up your artillery crews. In this game right here, which was running in the background, we made 1150 damage and 1400, or basically 1500 stun damage, and so all in all I think a decent result in my Lorraine 15550. Alright guys, that was it for today with the video about the most useful crew perks for your artillery. What do you think about this topic? Do you agree with my choices? Do you have another opinion of any of the crew members? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. And as always, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. This really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you find this video extremely helpful, then feel free to support me via Super Thanks. This way you can make a one-time donation. You just have to click this button underneath the video. If you adore this channel and you want to consistently support me, then consider subscribing to my channel or become a member, once again with the click of a button underneath the video. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time in another World of Tanks video.